Oh, sorry, Zeus. I'm sorry.
How have you been? What's new?
I'm grateful to be here with you. I'll be honest, mixed bag, you know.
Yeah.
Just like I'm sure it's like everybody on the planet, mixed bag. Just I'm trying to get some health issues resolved, some
Mm.
newer, some more long-standing. I am in really in the end stages of settling my dad's estate.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'll tell you, we have an estate attorney. So
Mhm.
he's been doing all the work, but it's a lot of mental and emotional and psychological heavy lifting. And then
Yeah.
that triggers the physical stuff, you know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I get that. At
Um,
least you have the estate attorney. That's something. I've seen so many people try to do it without one, and boy,
oh,
that's a nightmare.
I can't. There was no way. And I give people
Yeah.
so much credit. My father-in-law did that when my husband's grandfather passed. My mother was on Medicaid,
Hmm.
so it was so complex. But anyway, so like that's been kind of coming to fruition. So I'm thinking like within the next 2 weeks that should be buttoned up. Um, and this is the busiest I've ever been in my business, and I'm so grateful. And
Oh,
I think
wow.
it's just like navigating that because
Yeah.
even like the best laid plans, sometimes when you get one added thing and you go, and you feel
Yeah.
like, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. It tips over, and you don't even realize that's that point
yeah,
until it's too late and you've committed to something. Yeah.
yeah,
That's my fear right now with trying to grow my consulting business is, how much is too much and how do I fit all those puzzle pieces together? And,
right.
yeah, it's scary and it's a juggle.
And then it's like all of the other stuff with the running of your business, creating
Hmm.
content, engaging
Yeah.
with people, all the administrative stuff, all the marketing, taking care of clients. Like it's a lot. And
Yeah.
I struggle with taking time off because I think, I could just
Oh my
do
God, yes.
one little thing or 17.
Oh
And
yeah. Yeah. My grandmother's not doing so well. She's in
no,
assisted living down in Florida. And
on which side of your
she's
family?
my dad's mom.
Oh,
And I was talking to my dad a couple of days ago, and he was saying that she's back in the hospital, and they just found out that she's had some mini strokes. Um, and so I was saying, gosh, I really should make it down there to go see her.
hmm.
Um, but yeah, I she went into assisted living last fall, just as my title company was ramping up, and I just really couldn't take the time away to go down. And so now that I've closed the title company and I haven't quite ramped up all the consulting stuff yet, I'm like, well, now's the time. But even with that, it's terrifying. I'm going to go down there for 4 days. And to take 4 days off of work, I'm
Mm.
in such a mode of like just work, work, work all the time. It's all you do is just work. So the idea of stepping away for 4 days, while I know logistically I can and it's fine
Hmm.
because I haven't committed to any new clients right now. But yeah, I it gets in your head. So yeah, I get that.
Let me ask you a question. Can you take your laptop with you and maybe
Yeah.
still get little things done here and there so that gives you
Yes.
that reassurance?
Yeah, yeah, I
Okay.
can, and I will. I'm sure I'll do some work while I'm down there, but I also want to make sure that I am stepping away from that work and giving adequate time. I haven't seen my dad in a couple of years. He lives out
Mm.
west, and between the pandemic and everything, yeah, I think it's been 3 years since I've seen my dad. So yeah, and he's going to go down to Florida and meet me down there so that I can see him and my grandmother
Mm.
at the same time. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to seeing both of them.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I want to step away from the work for a few days as
Mm.
much as possible. But yeah, just mentally, it's kind of terrifying because you just get in that mode where that's just all you do, and finding that balance is really tough.
Isn't it funny, right? How, you and I, we do such similar work in a lot of ways, and we're always telling people you are like, yes, there's the professional side of you but that's only part of you. And yet here we
Hmm.
are having this conversation about how it engulfs our
Yeah.
identity. Almost like I'm probably hovering anywhere from like 81 to like 94%. I'm not going to
Yeah. Yep.
kid you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that kind of ties into why I just launched my personal brand, which you can see in my background. I have up and going now. I'm so excited. Um, but yeah, in part, it really was this idea of I felt so scattered and segmented, and I was a little bit myself here and I was a little bit myself there, but, different aspects of myself and, you know, trying to be more authentically me and to embrace, what makes me different from other people and what has caused me problems in the past because people don't really like differences. But it's also kind of what makes me special and makes me great at what I do is these differences. And I don't want to hide anymore. Like, I want to be me. And
Yeah.
for anybody who doesn't like it, oh well.
Yeah.
um and to be fully me and fully present in all aspects of my life, whether it's personal or it's business. And so for me, doing this personal brand really ties all that together, where, the personal brand is me. This is
Mm.
all me. It's all the things I'm interested in. It's all the things I do, the things that I feel like I'm good at. And it represents me and my personal aspects, and then also me and whatever businesses that I happen to be involved in, and all of it, falls underneath that funnel of the personal brand and how I present myself. But yeah, it's really kind of nice to pivot that way, so
Hmm.
that it's more focused on, well, this is who I am and what I can do, and what makes me me, as opposed to that focus of, well, this is my business and this is what I sell.
Right.
And to mentally kind of shift that has really been kind of powerful the last couple of weeks, and I think it's going to be really powerful moving forward, to shift that focus, from, this is what I sell and this is, what I can do, to this is who I am.
Yeah.
And if that holds value for you, then I am for hire in these ways. So yeah, it's a really interesting mental shift. And I mean, I've been self-employed for 21 years now.
Mm.
Celebrating, my business is
I
old enough to
saw
drink.
that. I can't believe it. 21 years. That was the
Yeah,
cutest post. My business is old enough to drink. Yay.
yeah,
That
yeah.
was so cute.
So yeah, to be doing that for such a long time, but to be holding myself out there as, this is my brand, and to switch that and say, this is me, and it's
Yeah.
me you're hiring, and and I'm different, and this is what makes me me, and this is why you want to hire me, because I'm me. It's a bit of a different mindset, but I think it's going to be a healthy one.
I agree. And you know what else I'm when I look at your posts and I read your words and I tap into your energy, what I'm getting is this is just this incredible platform for you to shed all the old iterations of yourself and to step
Mhm.
into this bold, badass new version of yourself. And it's
Absolutely.
and it's like the openness of you and your soul and your heart chakra and your bravery and you're standing in your vulnerability at the same time. And I look at you and I'm like, ugh, so great. It's just so great because
It's so terrifying.
it's so terrifying because
Yeah,
I'll be sitting
it
there
really is.
like all befuddled about something, and then I take a break and I scroll through Instagram and I'm like, and then I glom onto what you're writing, and it just fills me right back up again, and it gives me the
Oh,
courage to
that's so
do
nice to
something
hear.
audacious. You're welcome. Uh,
Good.
Earlier,
Audacious. That's such a great word for all this too,
oh,
because I do feel like it's audacious. I mean, my God, I went with rainbow.
hello. We celebrate the rainbows. I love it.
Yeah, yeah, but it is. And and for me, it's a bit audacious too, to start mixing my art with business.
Yeah.
um and to put my face on things, with my wild color hair, and um to do those things and to mix it with business. And especially, I've spent much of my career in the very conservative title industry
Yeah.
business. So yeah, I may be a little out there for your average person, but I'm way out there for the title industry. But maybe a breath of fresh air is what it all needs.
I think so, and I think that with I was reading something a little while ago about the younger generations and how open-minded they are. And, they're just not that we're not open-minded in our generation, but I mean, you could, it's interesting when you look at all the generations and the evolution,
Hmm.
of that, and how things shift and morph generation to generation. And um, so it'll be, I think, you're going to give people, you're going to give an outlet to people who are different too, and
Yeah.
who embrace that and see themselves in you. You're going to, like I said last time, shake up the title industry in the best way possible.
Yeah, I
Um,
hope so.
you are going to, I think, let me think how I want to say these words. For people who normally tread that conservative path, they're going to see you and go, "Huh, I need that in my life." Like
Hmm.
they're like, who knows? You might inspire somebody to cut their hair short after it's been long for all these years, and they go,
Right?
ah, I mean, something as simple as that, but it's a huge thing.
Yeah.
It's like, this is our coif, right? And
Yep.
earlier this week, I updated my alignable profile. And then my other goal was to update my LinkedIn profile. And,
Nice.
for so long, I mean, it was what I needed, right? But it
Right.
wasn't full, it wasn't complete in the way it needed to be. And I had to grow and evolve into this version of myself and be on that journey of self-discovery and really get to the heart of things. And then, working with my business consultant, she has a mastermind every Monday at noon. And so myself and the other participant in the mastermind and Donna, we all helped to craft my updated profile. And I got to a
Nice.
point where, yeah, I got to a point where I stopped being terrified of it. And it was, okay, let's just embrace the change. And
Yeah.
what it is, my saboteurs are fear of judgment by others.
Oh yeah.
Like if people,
Yeah.
and I might have said this before, but like fear of somebody saying, well, but that's the lane you're in, and how can you not know about XYZ program? Or how can you not know how to do ABC? Or what do you mean that you don't have any knowledge around sales funnels? I'm like, like
Yeah.
I've learned to get to the point where I can say to somebody that, it's one thing if you're in a business, and stop me if I said this last time. If you're in a business and you are somebody's office manager, right? The business owner will funnel just about everything to that office manager for them to do. But the luxury of being a business owner is you get to pick and choose what things you want to offer service wise.
Yeah.
And you know what? I don't want to offer customer service. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't, like there are people who've said to me, "Hey, will you help me to get to inbox zero?
Hmm.
Will you answer my emails for me? And will you go onto my social media and engage with people for me?" And are there VAs who do that? Yeah.
Yeah. But you don't have to.
No.
Yeah. And that's the
No.
beauty, absolutely, of owning your own business and getting to pick and choose. My business coach did something really powerful to me the other week, because I've been, you know, rebuilding my consulting firm and reimagining it. What can it be and what should it be? And what have I done in the past that I really liked and what didn't I like? And
Mm.
creating a whole new service package and new pricing and everything. And I was talking to him about that idea of, well, I did this thing last winter and I didn't really like it, but I'm afraid to say that I don't do it because I think really there's demand for it. And he said, well, that's the thing that you put your ridiculous pricing on. He said,
Oh. Mm.
figure out, well, what is that price that makes it worth doing that thing you don't want to do? And if somebody wants to pay it, then you do it. And if they don't, well, then that's okay too.
Yeah.
And that was really groundbreaking for me,
Yeah.
because I had never really thought of it from that perspective. But he's right. So there is a price point where I'm like, okay, I'm okay with doing this. And it's worth my time and effort to do it. But I had never really thought about it that way. And when I did, and it just, everything shifted. And that's actually when everything clicked. And I actually sat down after that meeting and typed for an hour and a half. And by the
Mm.
time I was done, I had a full service list with round one for pricing and how to price everything just clicked. And it just all fell into place. Something that I had been fretting over, spending a lot of mental energy over
Mm-hmm.
for a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And, I had made baby steps, but I hadn't really had that breakthrough. And yeah, that was really a powerful perspective,
Mm-hmm.
to be, well, what is that price point where it makes it worth doing it for you? And then the other thing that we had talked about is, things where I could partner with people and outsource. If I've got a source of business and I'm drawing in clients, and they have certain needs that, I know are needs, but they're things that I don't necessarily want to service, like reconciliations, for example. Big need in the title industry. It's a big deal to do it. And they're tough because it's not two-way like you would with your typical bank accounts, three-way. So they're more
Mm-hmm.
challenging. And I hate numbers. I don't want to do numbers.
Mm.
But I have actually found two people that I can partner with and outsource that. So I can pull in the client who may need that and a few other things, and I can funnel that through and outsource it, and I can upcharge a little bit. And, so I make something on it and I get to capture and keep that client and still service them with something that I personally don't want to do. And honestly, that's not really any different than when you hire staff to help
Mm-hmm.
you build your business, but it's a lot more affordable and a lot more scalable.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, maybe
I,
some things for you to
congratulations.
think about. Maybe you could partner with some people to be able to offer these services that people are asking for that you don't feel that you're necessarily want to do or have the right skills to do.
I love that. Yeah. That has been on my to-do list, is to find people I could do like a JV partnership with.
Hmm.
And I know that I'm going to have to, probably sooner rather than later, start bringing on team members to say,
Hmm.
like one of the things I always say to people is, you go to a LinkedIn meeting, or I'm sorry, you go to a networking meeting, and then you come home with a stack of cards, or you've got your chat file list, and then you want to connect with these people, but who has time to do that? And, give
Oh, I
that to
hate
me.
data entry from business
See,
cards. Drives me nuts.
see, I know. And
Yeah.
I'm the weirdo that loves data entry. And I love helping people to grow, right? And you do that by doing the connection requests on
Hmm.
LinkedIn, and like, oh,
Yep.
let's put a nice little personal note for Bob, who you just met today.
Yeah.
And my business consultant said to me, I forget when it was, it might have been earlier this year. She goes, she said that is a hugely important service. She said, but with the way that you have grown and evolved and up leveled yourself, she said that is more lower hanging fruit that you would give to a team member.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And picking and choosing those things and recognizing them as your business grows and evolves is really challenging. To be able to identify, what are the key things that you can do that nobody else can do.
Exactly.
And then what can you hand off to somebody else? What can you hire out? Whether you're outsourcing, to a virtual assistant, or if you're hiring somebody in-house and putting them through payroll, or, but yeah, it's tough. It's challenging. And that's been kind of part of my journey. The last couple of months too, is really having a good internal think about, well, what are my skill sets and my strengths and the things that truly make me unique that's hard to find somewhere else. And that's really, answering those questions is really what has pointed me in the direction of, refocusing my consulting firm within the title industry, rather than any kind of business. And not that I turn away other types of business. If somebody comes to me and they want my help, I'll help them. But to focus my marketing, to focus my messaging within a niche. And all that came about with that hard thinking of, well, what is it I do that other people can't? And for me, it's that combination of understanding title and technology, which
Mm-hmm.
within the title industry is very, very hard to find. Typically, you have people who know one or the other, but very few people who know both. And that's really what makes me unique. And you add into that I also know marketing, and it's, a really great trifecta. And I've just started to scratch the surface of what I can do there. And already, I've got people beating down my door. I've had some really great and amazing meetings the last couple of weeks, and I haven't even been trying.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's such a tough thing for any business owner to figure out what to delegate and what to keep for themselves and how to focus their time so it's the most effective. It's so hard.
It's interesting because it gives me greater understanding of what people feel, because I hear all the time people go, "Oh God, I need somebody like you." Right?
Mhm.
And then, but then it's like you're placing your trust in somebody else. And are they going to
Yeah.
do it to the level that you do it at?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And to
and
let go is hard.
it is hard. You know, you've been
Yeah.
doing this all this time, and then it's like, here's my baby. I'm going to go
Yeah.
out to dinner. And I so get it, because I think, and then I think, am I a horrible person for thinking that, you know, I don't know. And then how do I bridge that gap with the client? Like if the client hands something off to me, do they expect me to do it, or do they expect, would they be fine if I gave it to a team member? Because they could say to me, well, what am I paying you for if you're going to get a team member to do it? And my whole thing is, why does that matter who does it, as long as it's done and it's done right? So these are
Right.
all things that I have to figure out,
I
with
think it's
Tana.
all about your messaging.
Yes, I agree.
I really do. Are you selling you, or are you selling your company? Um, and it's part of the reason why I'm finding also, the personal brand versus my consulting company to be such a powerful mental shift. Because now, even if you were to like go and read the websites, the personal brand, all the messaging is I, blah, blah, blah. I feel this, I experience that, I think this. Whereas the consulting company is we.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's distinct, it's the company. And while I run the company, that doesn't necessarily mean that I do all the work. I represent the company, I oversee the company, I oversee any of the people who do the work for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm selling, my expertise, but it's my expertise that also feeds into who I partner with, who I hire, who I outsource to, however I do that. Um, and it's me taking that responsibility to oversee that. And so if you position your company of, well, you're hiring my company and I represent my company, and these are my values, my beliefs, and the skill sets that I represent through the company. And it doesn't even have to be your skill set. You could decide you're going to hire somebody who does social media marketing and then offer that as a service, and that's their specialty, and that's what they do for you through your company. um and that's really fine, but it's all about that messaging. As long as you set somebody's expectations appropriately, then they're not going to be disappointed.
You're right. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, you're
Now,
welcome.
these meetings that you had, are these prospective clients of yours, or would these more be like more JV partners? Or tell me about these meetings
um
you've had.
a bit of both.
Oh.
So I've had some conversations. I'm actually in talks with a couple of underwriters about partnering with them to provide services both for their own internal operations and then also for their title agents. um, and then I have I've talked to a couple of tech companies. I'm going to talk to some more tech companies about, again, kind of, well, what can I offer to them? As far as, helping to provide, user feedback for their products, to help
Mm,
them direct what they're developing and what's that user experience. Because I have a
mm,
lot of experience with that software development and UI and UX, user interface and user experience.
mm-hmm,
Um, and I'm very good at speaking the language of both the business person user and the tech person developer, and being able to translate between the two so they both understand and have the right
mm,
expectations for things. But then also talking to these tech companies about, well, how can I help your clients? Because like title production software, for example, it's a huge expense, it's a big investment, and it runs your company. It's the nuts and bolts of everything. And so having the right product is really, really important because it makes a huge difference in your
mm-hmm.
business as far as your efficiency, your workflow, and how you present to your clients, your customers. But people really struggle. The title industry largely is an aging industry, not a whole lot of young blood coming into it. And so, because it's an aging industry, they struggle a lot with that technology and learning new technologies. And so change is very scary. And switching software companies is absolutely terrifying, and most of the time if a company does do it, they do it wrong and it's a huge failure, and they end up going back to the old company even though they know in their heart of hearts that the other company had a better product. But it's that implementation and that migration that they
Mm-hmm.
don't know how to execute well so that it ensures their success. um, And then, getting all of your staff trained on the software and how to use it efficiently. I've seen people that the owner of the company invests in this really expensive state of the art technology, and then their staff isn't properly trained in it, and so then the staff is doing things outside of the software in Word or Excel and pulling it back into the software again, and it loses all those efficiency gains that they were supposed to
Yeah.
gain by having the state of the art technology, because the staff doesn't know how to use it right. And then they're frustrated and they're angry that something changed because they don't know how to change with it. Um, so
Yeah.
yeah, it gets really tough for people, and helping them navigate it. And so that's part of, talking to these tech companies. Well, how can I help you gain better adoption of your software by working with your customers so that they implement your software correctly, so that they're trained well, so that they embrace it and they become your
Hmm.
cheerleaders rather than your detractors.
It's just so brilliant because the other day I was thinking about how we sign up for programs, right? And there's all these features and benefits and ways that it'll make our lives easier and running our business easier and enhance it and grow it. And yet, how many features do we actually use? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And then the thing is, like, because I want to develop a blog post around this, it's about really knowing and understanding, what do you need out of something? And then are you using the right tool? And if it is the right tool, are you using the maximum? Because, of course, there's going to probably be maybe one or two things that don't apply or we don't need to use or whatever. But
Yeah.
how many things are we going, oh God, I wish I would have known that. I could have avoided so many headaches if I would have remembered that my program does XYZ.
Oh yeah.
The fact that
Yeah.
you draw that to their attention is huge.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's amazing because sometimes it's the littlest thing.
Yeah.
There have been more times than I can count where I happen to be looking over somebody's shoulder while they're using a computer, and I just show them a quick keyboard shortcut or something that, over the course of a lifetime worth of doing the work is going to save them so much time and effort. And it's just this, light bulb moment for them. And it's just the simplest little thing, but it's not obvious. And so, yeah, those little tips and tricks and hidden gems in software sometimes are sometimes the most powerful things, and they're the
Hmm.
hardest to find. And, who has time to really dig in to find all those things about any software program, let alone all the ones that we have to touch in a day.
Yeah, because I hear what you're saying. It's like the days go by so fast, and there are so many things we have to do. But
Mhm.
then I look at people not realizing that they already have the solution at their fingertips, and they go looking elsewhere, and they waste time
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. Yep. That one's real common too,
and
because you
energy.
just don't know what you have.
Exactly.
And an ounce of planning can save so much time in the long run. And, and the same comes true, with software and adopting software programs. If you just take a couple of hours at the outset to really dig in and learn it and go deep,
Hmm.
and learn all the ins and outs so that you're really comfortable with it and you're able to take advantage of those features that really are valuable, the
Hmm.
amount of time you save over the coming months and years
Exactly.
is humongous. And people don't always have that long view, and they're looking at the now like, oh, but I'm getting this software because I'm overwhelmed and I'm overworked, and I just don't have enough time. And so they jump into it to start using it because they're trying to play catch up, and they don't take that
Exactly.
time to really learn it. And then they never get the gains that they expect they're going to get out of it, or it
My
takes much, much longer to get those
Yes.
gains.
Yeah. It's interesting because my one client, um, we're getting him set up on a new CRM,
Hmm.
and another one of my clients was using it, less annoying CRM, and
Lesson. Okay, I haven't heard of that one.
yeah, it's like
That's a
really
great
simplistic.
name.
I know, right? It's $15 per user per month.
Oh, that's not bad.
The customer service is amazing. Um, and because he wanted one, and we had moved him over to one. I think it's called Zoho. It
Okay. Yeah,
begins
I've
with,
heard of that one.
yeah, no bueno.
Yeah.
No. It's like the cereal out. It's like you have 814 choices of cereal.
Yeah.
If
It's so hard
you
to pick.
If you listen, I love having a lot of fields in, when you go into, say, like a contact, or I'm all about choices. But when
Hmm.
you tip the scale and there are too many choices, it's overwhelming and you shut down and you don't want to use it. And
Yeah.
he and I struggled to navigate this. This was last year. So then we were kind of using MailChimp a little bit for that. But
Mm.
then he said, I really feel like I want to, have something different. And I said, well, I said, not for nothing. I said, but another client is on one called Less Annoying CRM. And he went, oh, okay, tell me about it. And he just loved the simplicity behind it. So we got him set up.
Nice.
I am now migrating, taking his tasks that are in Trello and putting them in. So we're in the home stretch. We're like 94.8% done. And but the really beautiful thing is that they have all these tutorial videos right in there, and you just go right down the line. Each one is no more than 3 minutes long. The way they
Nice.
explain it is straightforward and it's simple, and you go, oh. And then, so like you were saying, you immerse yourself in it, and then you learn it. And then, are you going to forget some things? Yes, but
Yeah.
it's right there, and you just go back and you go, how do I do that again? And then you're like, oh, that's right. And then it all
Yeah.
comes flooding back.
And you're gonna remember enough to know that at least it can solve that problem and to go look for it. 'Cause
Exactly.
when you haven't immersed yourself like that, you just don't even know that it can be better because you just haven't even been exposed. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. I'll have to check that out because I've yet to find a CRM that I really like. That they tend to get lost on me, and there you go. Like you don't have to know everything. I don't know CRMs. Still
Yeah,
working on that one.
I know. It's there's so many, and then you kind of feel like you look at some of the features, but then you really have to take a step back and you look at who is it geared for? Like for some of them,
Yeah.
it's like, is it really geared not so much for the entrepreneur, but more for a bigger business,
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
am I going to need that? And it's like, so yeah, you're right. It's like, it's not just the here and now, it's the long game.
Yeah.
We're, 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now. And can you grow with it?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Can you scale it up as your business grows so that you're
Hmm.
not doing the whole thing again in a year? If you've got to switch in 5 or 6 years, so be it, but you don't want to have to switch every 6 months.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because it's so defeating, and it deflates your confidence. It erodes your productivity.
Yeah.
It has you feel like I took a partial step forward, but 18 back.
Oh yeah. Yep. Been there, done that. Pick the wrong software a couple months in, like, oh, I got to do this again.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm struggling with that one right now. I really want to start putting together courses. But I'm trying
Mm.
to find the right platform because I don't want to start putting content into a course learning management system and then have to rebuild things all over again because I picked
Oh,
the wrong one.
yeah.
But boy, evaluating it's challenging. It's to compare multiple systems and all the different features, especially when you've never done one before, so you don't necessarily understand the features, is
Yes.
really challenging. Yeah.
I think you and we might have touched on this last time, because my husband went with his company. That was one of the first things that we did when we sat down a year ago, was we looked at all the different platforms that are out there, because that's what he offers with his company. And
Right. Yeah, I think you did mention that, but I don't remember which one you said you ended up going with.
Thinkific.
Awesome, because that's actually the one that I've been referred to by a couple of other people recently. So all circles back.
It's so great. The
Good. Yeah,
customer
I
service is amazing.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they have really nice plan where if you want to host just one course, it's absolutely free. And so I figured, well, worst case scenario, at least I can get in and build one and actually play with the features and see what I think of it
Yeah.
before I paid for something, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I've had a couple other people recently say that they really liked that one. And I was reading some articles just yesterday comparing a few of them. And the like Udemy's another really popular one. But you don't own your content and you can't
Mm-mm.
take it back down again.
Mm-mm.
You can go publish it somewhere else, but you can't take it down. I'm like, well, what if I wanted to leave? I don't want to leave all my content with, a provider that maybe I'm not happy with. Um, so yeah, it's amazing the differences, huge, huge differences between some of the companies.
Yeah, because I'm like, we spend all that time creating content. Those are assets in our business, and it's like
Yeah.
that is mine.
Yeah.
It's like no, like that's
Yeah.
how it makes you feel. It's like you can't have my stuff. No.
Yeah, absolutely. And to that end, I would rather pay a monthly fee and, have my platform with my branding and, my things, and they make their profit because I'm paying to use their service. I think the upside to Udemy, I think what draws a lot of people in is they have a marketplace. So if you don't have an audience, it gives you an instant audience to attempt to
Yes.
sell for. Although I understand it's really hard to rank. So, if you don't have an audience, people aren't necessarily going to find you, but
Hmm.
it gives you that chance. And I get that appeal. But they're doing, share of your price.
Mm.
And so it's a whole different pricing model. And I suppose it's probably really cheap to get started. And there's something to be said for that.
I
But
am
they're
listening.
taking a big chunk of what you're bringing in your sales. And that can be tough to swallow, especially as you get bigger and you do grow your own audience. And you're like, well, these are my people. I brought them in.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Because then it just feels like the waters get muddied. I'm looking for. I'm looking. Oh, here we go. I'm sending you something right now. Um, online course comparison. Can I spell? Comparison chart. And this is Kajabi, Thinkific. I still can't spell. Think.
Yeah, I heard some good things about Kajabi, but that's really expensive.
Um, what was the other one? What's the other one that is? It's escaping. I'll open it up and be like, oh, that's right.
Right.
Teachable. That's it. I knew. Like I knew it
Oh
was.
yeah. Yeah, I've heard some good things about that one too.
Okay, now I'm sending this to you right now. Now, this, like I said, is a year ago, so some things may have changed a hair since then. But like one of the things that was super important for my husband, Kajabi only like they max out at 100 courses,
Oh wow.
right? So for
Yeah, I mean it
him,
sounds like a lot when you have none, but
yeah, and
if you're
the
doing
thing
small courses, especially, you could really hit that pretty quickly.
exactly like, and if
Yeah.
if you have like a little, say like a little 5 minute thing, ding, and like all of the
Yeah.
instructors that my husband has on his team, the one guy has produced two, and then another guy has produced one, another guy is close to finishing his, so that's four alone.
Right.
And over time it's like, oh, and then my husband just did an interview with an incredible retired player named Ben
Nice.
Troop, right? And that counts as a course. It's not a course, but that's how Kajabi would count it. That's how Thinkific
Oh,
counts it. Like that's just the label they give it. But Kajabi would be
right.
like, sorry, that's a course.
Right.
You
Yeah.
now have
Thinkific
to
doesn't
understand.
have a limit, I think, on the number of courses you can have.
Mm-mm. So
Yeah.
I sent that to you. It's just an Excel.
Great.
It's a
Thank
very
you.
simple table, and that was our findings a year ago. Now things, like I said, may have changed. Maybe some things that weren't offered are now being offered in one of the programs, but at least it'll give you something to start with.
Yeah, yeah, I appreciate that. Because
Sure.
yeah, that's been my big thing researching that recently. And I did a comparison on social media posting apps recently too. So that was a whole thing.
Oh, you did.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. Oh God. I've had so much trouble the last couple of weeks with social media posting, trying to launch a brand new brand and pulling together
Mm-hmm.
all my content as if that's not enough work. But then to struggle with the technology aspect, and this is not new technology to me. I've been using social media scheduling apps for a couple of years now.
Mm-hmm.
So, I know how they work. Nothing new there, but boy, it was so much harder than it should have been. I was recommended a different app by somebody who really works in the social media world. So I'm like, well, I really respect their opinion. So it's probably worth a few minutes for me to go and take a look. And now would be a good time if I was going to switch, because all my social media feeds were empty because I was in the process of transitioning and closing some out and, making these new ones. So it was a good time.
Smart.
And so I signed up for the free thing and was trying out some of the features, but then discovered that it was really weird the way it was set up. You could have X number of accounts, but you built them underneath of what they call brands. And so, while I think might have been like you could have 10 accounts, but under 5 brands. And so it was one account per social media per brand. And they counted your Facebook business page as one Facebook account and your Facebook group as a second Facebook account. So you'd have to put them underneath 2 different brands, which means you couldn't post the same thing to your Facebook page and your Facebook group by creating one post within the social media manager. And that's the whole point of a social media manager, is that you can go in and create a post one time and put it out to all the platforms that you want to put it out to. And so that blew my mind. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to post more to the group than to the Facebook page. So maybe I'll add the group and I'll take the page out and deal with that separately, because I still really liked the platform. And this was Metricool.
Yeah,
And
you're telling me about that.
yeah, and I did. I really, really liked the platform. Beautiful interface, very easy to use, like no learning curve. So I'm like, well, okay, let me take the Facebook page out. I'll put the group in and maybe that'll be okay. No, my Facebook business page is linked to my Instagram account. And when I took the Facebook page out, it took the Instagram account out, and I couldn't add the Instagram account back in without adding the Facebook page back in. So now basically I could post to my Facebook group and like any other social media, TikTok or YouTube or LinkedIn, but then I'd have to post to the Facebook page and the Instagram account separately. Or I could put the Facebook group or the Facebook page and the Instagram account back in, but then I'd have to post to the group separately. I'm like, this is crazy. Like that for me, that was a deal breaker. I had to walk away. I'm like, I can't. That the whole point is for me to post to all the places in one time. So yeah, and then as if that weren't bad enough, I have things that cross over brands, because I'm doing the personal brand, and then I've got my business consulting. And so there might be something that I'm going to push out through the business consulting page, but I might want to put it on some of the personal brand sites to advertise the consulting company, or vice versa. I might want to take some of the content that I do for the personal brand and push that out through the consulting company, because it's applicable and relevant, and then it helps cross promote my brands. And if you've got more than one brand and you're not using them to cross promote, then what are you doing?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really a shame. There was that whole fiasco trying to figure that out. And like, am I doing something wrong? No, I'm not doing something wrong. And then going back to Crowdfire, which I've been using for years, and I was happy with them. It's not that I was unhappy with them. I just thought I'd try something different that was recommended. And then I had some technical problems with Crowdfire, and I'm not going to talk bad about Crowdfire, because the technical support was really, really helpful, and they helped me get it resolved. Took a little while and a few tries and things, but that was more my fault than it was theirs, because I was doing weird things. All of social media is built with the idea that you have one account per platform and it's all you. And like, that's not me, because I've done so much over the years with using pen names and different brands and things like that. So a lot of my social media has been very scattered, and that's part of what I've been doing, is bringing it all together under one umbrella. But that made for some really weird setups going on in my Crowdfire account that we had to get resolved, and changing email addresses and passwords and account linkages and all kinds of crazy. So they were great. We finally got it sorted out, but it took a little while.
It's for me it's so easy because I just have the one company, right? But for you, I see how multi-layered it is.
Yeah.
And I know when I was talking to Jennifer, and she mentioned about Metricool, and I mentioned that you had said that you loved it, and I love that it's social media approved, so you don't get dinged because you're using a scheduler. So let me ask you a question. For me, I would be posting on LinkedIn, my Facebook group, and Instagram. So 3 places. So then
if you're just doing those 3, and you did not have both the Facebook group and a Facebook business page, then, metrical, absolutely, you could go with it.
Because, I've thought about that. They talk about, oh, you should have a Facebook page and you should have a Facebook group. And then I look at it and I think, oh God, it's more to manage.
It
And I don't,
is. It's
I
so
don't
much to
mean that,
manage.
I don't mean that in a lazy way, but it's like all
No,
day
but it's
long,
overwhelming.
when you're managing other people and their businesses to whatever degree you're doing, and then you got your own stuff to manage, and it's like,
Yeah.
I'm out. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm so
Yeah, it
tired.
is. It's a lot. If you're going to do one or the other, I say definitely go with the group. Because the
Yeah.
group is going to show up in social media news feeds so much more than a business page.
Mm,
Typically the argument I make in favor of a business page is, somebody goes to Google you. Optimally, if they go to Google you, your business, they're going to hit your website, your LinkedIn business page, and your Facebook business page, and hopefully your Google business listing. And that's what should show up on their screen in those search results if they go to look you up. And it kind of helps to validate, yes, I am a real business, I exist, here's my logo, here's my contact information, here's my hours. But it's really not necessary to have all four of those for somebody to believe that, yes, you're a legitimate business and they're going to talk to you some more. You should have at least one, preferably two. Yeah, I'd say at least have two. But yeah, it makes you more legitimate. Beyond that, I don't see a huge value in having the Facebook business page. And like, even if you wanted to create one just to hold that contact information, but you never really post to it,
hmm
you could absolutely do that too. A lot of times what I only push out to the Facebook business page are like business announcements.
Oh.
I'm running a sale, or, this new great service or whatever. I really use it kind of just for business announcements.
hmm
And I use the Facebook group and the other social media for the content that I'm really pushing out.
Mm.
So that's how I delineate. Not to say that that's the only or right way to do it, but it's what works for me. And then using the social media posting application, to me, it doesn't really matter if I'm posting on 5 things or 2 things, because it's all just one post that I'm putting into the scheduler. So it's
hmm
not really any more work.
hmm
Um, obviously if you're kind of trying to do engagement and things like that on all of them, then yeah, more platforms, more work. I'm a little hit or miss on that, but I try.
Mm. Hey, listen, you know what? You have so many things going on with setting up your company and getting all the foundations poured and set, making sure they're all straight and putting processes and procedures in place. And it's like, just, you show up. It's like, I think you said this before. It's like you show up and just show up as often as you can. If it's twice a week, great.
Yeah.
Celebrate that. Get that under your belt.
Oh yeah, yeah. People freak out when it comes to social media and thinking, oh, I have to post 3 times a day on 5 different platforms and I'm doing it all manually and it's so overwhelming. And well, yeah, that would be overwhelming. Um, you know, my best understanding is, the social media algorithms really are looking for consistency,
hmm
whatever that consistency happens to be. If that means that you post once a month, then you're doing one blog post a month and then you're sharing that blog post on your social media and that's what you're doing. Great, that's what you're doing, and that is consistent if you're doing that every single month. For other people, consistency means that they post every Monday. For other people, it does mean that they post 3 times a day. So is as long as it is consistent, and your audience too likes that consistency, because then they know to look for it. So somebody who maybe posts once a week, will just post on the same day every week. I mean, how many of us have gotten into that mindset of like, oh, Wednesday night my new TV show comes out? Like, we're all programmed to that kind of a consistency where it doesn't matter if it's oh, I got to catch my soap opera at 3 p.m. every single day, or that's my favorite primetime television show and it only runs Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock. We can adjust to those kind of
Yeah.
schedules, but to have that consistency, eh, just human brains work well with it, whatever that consistency is. So just pick whatever you can keep up with, um, and just maintain that schedule. So yeah, I'm ridiculously prolific when I create content. But I'll create content, I'll be on a real kick and I'll do content for like a whole month, and create 6 months worth of content. And then I won't touch it again for 6 months. And then I run out of content. I'm like, oh no, I have to do this again. because I've gotten distracted and onto other things. For me, that's also why I like the posting scheduling apps, because it allows me to appear consistent where I am so very not
Mhm.
consistent.
You know,
So it helps.
I hear you because I know for myself, I've been scheduling. I do 2 posts on Facebook and Instagram on Friday. I do like a fun Friday, like something funny and give people a laugh. And then I do the weekly wrap up. Like what was the
Mhm.
best thing what you've seen? And then there's the
Yeah.
Saturday post, like what's on deck for the weekend, because I want people to really look at, hey, like we said before, I am a business owner, but that's only part of the pie.
Mhm.
And then there's the Sunday planning. That's great for the Facebook group and Instagram. I wouldn't post on that on LinkedIn. LinkedIn,
Right.
I would do the Friday wrap up because
Yeah.
then, then like imagine, right? Like they're all stressed and they're not thinking, they're not counting their wins and they're it's the end of the week and they're just, oh my God, the weekend. And then they see the post and they go, you know what? I got my course launched. Let me put that on there. And then guess
Yeah.
what? That's free advertisement for them.
Yeah.
And that creates discussion. And it's like, way to go, Phil. Tell us about your new course. We want to hear about it.
Yeah.
And so I've been scheduling those in Facebook and it's just so lovely. And then I
Yeah.
have been showing up on Instagram and doing them. But I'm just at the point where I'm like, I need more time back in my schedule. I need time. I just,
Did you know you can link the two?
yes.
And
Yeah.
so when you schedule it in Facebook, it can automatically push it out to Instagram at the same time.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, look for that feature. You have to turn it on and link the accounts through. I think it's the Meta Business Suite
Oh, okay.
that you link the two accounts. But then yeah, you can schedule something in Facebook, and if you're only doing Facebook and Instagram, then you don't even have to pay for an app because you can manage it all through that Facebook Meta Business Suite. It's when you get into the additional platforms. Earlier you mentioned Alignable, and I really love Alignable. It's really kind of a neat platform, and I wish they had the integrations with these third-party scheduling apps because I cannot manually keep up with another platform. There's just no way. It's hard enough for me to just kind of jump in and see what's going on and comment on other people's things. But boy, the second Alignable gets onto some of these scheduling platforms, like yes, I'll push content out there, but it's not there yet.
You know what? I've not been doing anything with Alignable. It was just about me being, the local business and let me put myself out there. I don't even
Yeah,
have a Google My Business page because,
you should
and
have one of
I
those.
know, I know, but
Yeah.
you know what I fear, Cheryl?
Hmm.
I don't know. It's one thing when I get a warm, glowing referral from somebody amazing like you, but it kind of scares me a little bit to have somebody whom I don't know reach out to me, and I'm like, what if you're a nightmare? Like, and I know that's so
Right.
horrible to say that.
Yeah, but you never know. You
You're
never
right. You're
know.
right. You're right.
But you can have the same thing on social media. I just did this in really incredible 7-day free course on it was called Women Rocking the Stage.
Oh yeah.
I think I had sent you the information
Yeah.
on it. And especially for a free course, I got a lot out of it. But I will actually say I think I got more out of the Facebook group that went with it, and doing the homework assignments. So I actually had to try the things that they were talking about and try and fail,
Mm,
and putting it out there in that Facebook group. And it was a really wonderful, supportive Facebook group. And everybody was commenting and providing feedback on everybody else's attempts at these homework assignments. And it was really, really helpful. I hope someday in my Facebook group I have that same kind of collaborative attitude because it's so
mm,
helpful. Um, but it was quite the thing to like put these things out there and try it. And it was all about recording myself on video and things like that. But yeah, it was a neat experience, putting these things out and having that collaborative experience, working with all these other women and helping them improve. And gosh, the things I learned just from watching somebody else try,
yeah.
whether it was a really good result and be like, oh, look what they did. That worked really well. I love that. Or when it didn't go so well, like, oh, I didn't even think about that, and I got lucky, and I need to make sure I don't do
Mm,
that on purpose.
yeah.
Both were really helpful. And even then reading the comments that people were leaving for each other, and I got so much out of that too, because I'd watch their little commercial video or whatever for a course or a talk they were going to do, and I kind of took it one way, and maybe I picked out this thing or that thing, like, oh, that was really good, or this could be a little better. But then reading the comments, somebody else will pick up on something else. I'm like, I didn't even think about that, but that's
Mm,
really brilliant.
mm.
So yeah, it was a really amazing experience, both taking the course itself and then also interacting with all these women and practicing what we were learning. It was quite the thing.
Thank you for thinking of me. I so wanted to join, but I was so neck deep in so many things, and I thought,
Yeah, and it was intensive.
I'm
It,
sure.
yeah, it wasn't like it was just one hour webinar. You're like, okay, I could squeeze that in. It was an hour and 15 minutes for 7 days straight, and a homework
Mm,
assignment with each one. And part of that homework assignment was not only do the thing and post it to Facebook group, but then also provide feedback to at least 3 other people. um, and so yeah, it was definitely intensive, but I'm like, well, you know what, if I'm going to take an hour plus a day to watch this webinar, well, I might as well go all in and get everything I can out of it. I'm so glad I did, because the
mhm,
most value actually came from those interactions.
mm.
But yeah, it was a neat experience. I'm sure they're going to do it again at some point. But yeah, you never know what you're going to get, whether it's paid or free. Yeah, surprises sometimes.
Yeah, it's exciting. Yeah, I think that's one of the most exciting parts of life, whether it's, the personal part or the business part. It's like, what's today going to be like? What
Yeah.
opportunities are going to cross our paths? And
Oh, and I took you totally off topic there, but I had a point to all of that now that I've remembered. But it was, meeting all these women in this group. Quite a few of them sent me friend requests on Facebook.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, and then others joined my group, and I joined a few of theirs. So we've made some lasting connections there, which is really nice. But so I went through an entire week where I was getting a lot of friend requests from people that I didn't necessarily know who they were.
Hmm.
So I was accepting friend request after friend request, and I managed to accept one that was not from that group, and I was just clicking fast the one day. Like, I was trying to make sure, well, do we have a mutual friend, or were they in the group, trying to vet
Right.
things a little bit. And I managed to accept one that was not in the group, did not have any mutual friends. And next thing I know, I'm getting these private messages from this person, and they're weird. I'm like, all right, got to get rid of this one. Out you go. But you know, so whether it's a Google business listing, or it's social media or what have you, I think there's always that possibility that you get contacted by some weirdo.
Yeah.
um and whether it just ends up being kind of a spammy fishy kind of thing, or it turns into being an actual client who turns into being a bad client. I think the same skill set applies of trying to weed out spam and phishing as it does trying to weed out what's a good client or a bad client.
Yeah.
Of take that time to interview them, talk through what it is, what they want, what they expect, before signing them. And we all make mistakes, and we all end up in contracts that we're like, yeah, I don't think I want to keep doing this. But yeah, interview them, treat it like a job interview.
Yeah.
Interview your clients, and really, clients should be interviewing you too.
Oh, I completely agree, because I want to make sure that I'm their cup of tea,
Yeah.
because I may not be, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm really okay with that. The old me would have been like, oh, I have to bend and twist myself into this pretzel. And the new me, I'm like,
No.
if we're just not an energetic fit, and that's
Yeah.
okay. And I will tell you, and I know I sent you a message about this before, but I am so grateful for you bringing Sarah and Jen into my life. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
so the bee's knees, the both of them. And what's really
Yes.
nice too is now I have a great new coach to refer people to. And
Yep.
then for Jen, if somebody wants social media, I'm like, I'm going to refer you to my girl Jen. That's what she
Yeah.
does all day long.
Yep. Yeah, I know. Jen's so unique too, because it's
Yeah,
social media coaching.
I know. It's great.
Because so many people, they're like, well, either I have to figure it out on my own, or I have to hire somebody, and I can't afford to hire somebody to do it for me. and it's overwhelming to try and learn it on my own, and to have that middle ground of somebody who will teach you. I do some social media coaching, within, my consulting repertoire of things that I'll talk about. But to have somebody who really specializes in it, that's really great, especially if that's your big goal. Like this year, my goal, I'm going to do social media marketing. That's what I'm going to learn. That's what I'm going to focus on. Like, yeah, go for that expert, but that's what they specialize in. And it's a unique niche. So yeah, I adore Jen. She's fantastic. And Sarah's amazing. I have followed her on everything. I think I'm her new stalker.
Yeah.
She doesn't seem to mind so far, which is great. But yeah, I follow her on Facebook. I listen to her Spotify. I sent it to my sister the other day because she's a teacher who was thinking about getting into business. I'm like, well, you have to know Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
And gosh, Sarah's so approachable.
Yeah.
I have been watching what she's doing and taking tips out of it, both of what she actually talks about, but also watching what she does and how she does it. That I'm able to pull into my own personal brand and social media adventure that I'm going on. Like, okay, well, I really liked how Sarah did that. So what was it about that I liked so that I can
Exactly.
imitate it? And so, yeah, if we post this online at some point and Sarah sees it, like, kudos to Sarah. We're your new fangirls.
I have to make sure that I join your Facebook group too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Because I know we interact on Instagram, and you are so generous in my group, and you'll comment on my posts, and I want to do the same for you. So, and
Oh,
thank
I
you for that. That
appreciate
means the
that.
world to me.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's like I said, to kind of generate that energy like I was experiencing in that one group, and that group gets shut down after the 7 day
Oh
thing.
yeah.
Like it's still open. It's been open for a couple of days, but I don't think it'll be open a whole lot longer. But yeah, boy, to generate that kind of energy in a group where it is collaborative, and people are talking and helping each other and commenting, is really great. And I will say Sarah is definitely like my hero as far as like how to gain engagement. She does fabulous engagement posts. So yeah, definitely something to learn there. I'm working on that skill.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
I know that we're a little over time, and I want to be respectful of your time.
I
Um,
appreciate that. And yours as well. I'm sure we've
thank
got
you.
things to do, but oh my God, this was so much fun.
Yes, I know. I feel like it's like my playtime, but slash educational slash business, and it's like
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I'm
can
so
get
glad
on.
we started doing these again. I'm so glad we
Me
recorded
too.
it because, oh my God, we talk about so many great things. And I'm like, I need
No.
to take notes so I remember what I've said and what you said and, so many great things. So yeah, I'm so glad we recorded this. I definitely want to go post this on my YouTube and my social media. So I hope I still have your blessing to do that. And I'll send you the recording and you can cut it up or post it in full or whatever makes you happy. But yeah, this is great. And I was so excited. I couldn't wait. I'm like looking at my calendar yesterday. I'm like, oh, I get to talk to Kristy tomorrow.
I will make sure that I'm wearing some lipstick next time so I don't look so much like a vampire. I just threw this like, black blouse on, and I yeah, so I'll make sure I do that. But yeah, I agree
That's
too.
fine.
It's go see your grandmother, and
Yes.
spend that time with her and with your dad, and
Yes.
just when you're there, I just so invite you to just all of this, just push it and
Yep.
out, and then just be in that moment with them, because like you said, you haven't seen your dad in 3 years,
Yeah.
and it was 2 years on the fourth that for my dad's passing.
Mm,
And
yeah.
my my mom is coming up in November, and I just love that your father, you he's here, and you can spend that time with him and be with him. And how old is your grandmother?
She just turned 82.
Oh,
And she's such my hero. Like I
mm,
adore my grandmother. She's always been my cheerleader. So much of my self-confidence has come from her belief that I could do anything. Like I remember I was like 10 years old and I came to her one day. I'm like, I'm gonna be president of the United States. She's like, that's great, you do it. Like it didn't matter what kind of outlandish thing I had dreamed up. She was always my cheerleader, which was always great. And I just adore her, and she's just such a pip. And so my dad had told me the story. She she's got some dementia, which is really a
Mm,
shame. And it reached the point last fall where, he had to put her in assisted living for her own safety and safety of others. And she decided one day in June that she was leaving, and she packed her
mm.
suitcase and she wheeled it out the front door, and they found her in the parking lot trying to get into somebody's car that she thought was hers. And I mean, in part it's a sad story because she didn't really know, but I just laugh because it's so her personality that she's just so fiercely independent.
Mhm.
And the fact that I've been telling my son for years, 'cause he's my oldest, I'm like, if I ever get old and you think you're going to put me into an old folks home, don't do it, because I will cause such a ruckus. I will break everybody out and there'll be pure chaos all over town, and that'll cover my tracks as I escape. And so then there my grandmother is 3 days before her 82nd birthday, breaking out of the old folks home.
She's busting
Um,
loose.
and then on her birthday, she did it again. And this time they caught her. She didn't have a whole suitcase. She had her little purse climbing out the window.
No.
82 years old, climbing out the window to escape. Oh, I love my grandmother so much. Yeah. So yeah, it's a little sad, but I choose to focus just, on the fact that even with her memory going and her being, not in the place where she really wants to be in life, that she's still just so her and unapologetically her. And
Oh,
yeah,
that
she's who I want to be someday.
I know. Yeah, and you know what? Like, what if we were that person now? Because
Hmm.
we hear that all the time. Be unapologetically you.
Yes.
And we conform,
Yeah.
right? We
Yep.
conform to what society thinks. We conform to parental expectations. We conform to these things. And like, okay, yes, like there's certain parameters either with society or with your parents that, we get and we're in alignment with. But then there are certain things where it's like, I'm my own individual person. And
Hmm.
and there's such freedom in that. And just how juicy the exploration of that is. I know for
Yes.
myself I look at, okay, we are more than midway past the midpoint of July, and we are firmly in the second half of 2022. It feels like the first half went by in 13 minutes. And I remember
Yeah.
back in January, like I was like this, like the thought of posting on social media. And now every day I show up and I kept telling myself, future me, come tell the present me that I'm going to be okay and I'm safe,
Yeah.
and stop fearing rejection and stop fearing judgment. And, and who knows? And I got a comment the other day that somebody felt like I was authentic in the way I present myself, and like how huge that was. And
Yeah.
and I think that's the thing. It's like we have to ease into things, and it's like shoes. Like you buy the new pair of shoes and they're a
You
little
got to break it
snug.
in.
You got to break them in, and like, but the
Yeah.
more that we keep wearing those shoes or posting or showing up and being visible or building the next pillar in our business, that's breaking those shoes in.
Absolutely. And yeah, once you're a couple months into it, you're like, oh wait, the world didn't fall down
Right?
and everything's okay. And you might have those bad days, like, oh my goodness. The first day I opened my Facebook group up. So I actually it had been an old Facebook group I had run for some other purpose, and I repurposed it for this, to kind of capture some of that audience and make it a little bit less work for me. And so I unarchived the group, and I rebranded it, and I put the new cover page on it. My face is on it. And some jerk commented on it, calling me fat and a pig, and why would I put my face on there, and if I spent as much time exercising as I did creating content, I would look better. And obviously I booted him from the group immediately, like, no, delete that, get out, you're not welcome here, this is my house.
Exactly.
But I could have really dwelled on that, and I won't say that I just like dumped it out of my brain immediately,
Right.
because I didn't. But every time it creeped back in over the next few days, I kicked it out again. No, you're not
Mm.
welcome here. You're
Mm.
not welcome in my head. You're not welcome in my group. I don't need this because I have people who like me and who care. And that's all that matters. And the rest of it, I'm just putting out there. And if somebody benefits from it, great. And if they don't, that's okay too, because I did it because I want to do it.
That you're so right, because when we allow other people's opinions, negative opinions of us to shut us down, we are diminishing our own light that
Yeah.
people are seeking in the world. And I don't mean that in an egotistical way, but like,
Yeah.
every single one of us, we all have gifts. And
Mhm. We all have something to offer to the right person at the right time.
yeah.
And, and that's really what I try to focus on, is if anything I do touches one person
Hmm.
in a positive way, then, I've accomplished my goal,
Hmm.
and anything else is just extra. And I don't even look at, number of likes or hearts or whatever on most of my posts. I don't go seeking that information. If it pops up in my feed, whatever, it's there, I noticed it, but I don't go looking for it. And I try to stay very, very focused on, well, I'm creating this content, I'm putting this out here because this is important to me. I feel like I have something to say. It doesn't matter if anybody's listening. If somebody's listening, that's great. But I keep that focus on, this is what I want to do. I'm doing it for me because I have something to say. And that helps take a lot of that pressure of judgment off, because I'm the only person I have to impress.
Mm. Yeah, it's about us being better than the version of ourselves from the day before.
Yeah. And that's the only person I'm ever competitive with, is me.
Exactly.
I'm only competing with myself and who I was yesterday.
Yeah. Because I mean, I when I started this journey, I looked at, oh, well, I mean, there are somebody could hire somebody from Fiverr to do things, or they could pay a college kid, I don't know, $15 an hour or whatever. And for some people, that is the sweet spot. And I say, you know what? If
Mhm.
that's your sweet spot, good on you. Good, go for it. Get the
Yep.
help you need so that you can live in the zone of your genius in your business and not have all these things to do. But I know what makes me different than other people in my lane, and I think let's all just celebrate our differences. And that's something that I'm really calling into being, is having those people come into my life who are similar to what I do, or maybe offer like a little bit different services, or maybe even the same service. And if I'm not a fit for somebody, then I can say, hey,
Hmm.
reach out to my can I make an introduction to so and so, because she could be a great fit for you,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
hand that person off,
absolutely.
you know.
I love making business connections just as much with people who could be power referral partners, but also people who do what I do or do something similar. In fact, I just had a meeting this week with another woman who does consulting within the title industry, and at that, she's doing operations and best practices, which is really where, even within the consulting world generally, most business consultants focus on sales and the
Mm-hmm.
financials, and very few touch operations, the how do you do the things you do. So the
Mm.
fact that she was doing both title and operations, incredibly unusual. But in 21 years, she's the first consultant I have met who specializes in the title industry, who comes from a title background. And even Googling it, I think I found two other firms in the country who advertise that they do consulting within the title industry. And one of them specialized in mergers and acquisitions, which is really different than operations. Um, and so yeah, it was great. I loved meeting her. It was wonderful to talk shop with somebody else who's doing what I do, because it's so rare. And even just talking to other business consultants more generally, I always get something valuable out of the conversation. It's always really neat and interesting to see how somebody else is approaching something similar, because
Mm-hmm.
nobody ever does it the same way. And yeah, it's always my goal. When I talk to people, I hope that I can be the most valuable conversation you've had that week.
Mm.
And not in an arrogant way of like, oh, I know everything and I can answer all your problems. No, I can't. But usually, if I can't help you with the problem that you're having or offer you some potential solution, I know who can. And I find that that is just as valuable as the knowledge I have in my own head, is to be able to connect other people to the right people. And you never know what kind of magic sometimes those creations are going to make. I mean, yesterday I had a 15-minute meeting scheduled with some random person that our wonderful business coach, Sarah, told me that I should meet. And so, I respect her. So I took her word for it. Like, okay, I should meet this person. And she did the same thing. Like, okay, I should meet this person. And it was only 15 minutes. Probably the best conversation that I've had all week. Turns out that she could be a potential partner with me to offer services through my company to, the title agents that I'm working with and want to work with. And I hadn't even, like, it was on my list of things to find, but I hadn't been trying actively to find it yet. And she just fell into my lap, and it's a business opportunity for her, and it helps me meet the needs of my clients, and it's a win-win. And we did that in 15 minutes with from some random introduction.
That's
Uh,
amazing.
so yeah, you never know. And it's not even that Sarah thought that that was going to be our connecting point. She had no idea. She literally just told each of us, I think you're going to like this person. You should meet them.
Wow, and think of, yeah, it's like this simple introduction, and look what blossomed out of that. And you
Yeah.
guys, it sounds like the two of you covered a lot of ground in 15 minutes. I mean, that's a very
Oh
short period
yeah.
of time.
It was very efficient.
I just thought of something as we wrap up. All of those wonderful people you connected with on Facebook who you were in the challenge with, are you
Mhm.
also connected with them on LinkedIn as well so that they can see all your brilliance over there and refer you to others?
Some of them. And yeah, I really
Okay.
should go through that list of like recent friends added and go find them all on LinkedIn. I have connected to some of them there.
Oh,
And
good.
some of them have
Okay.
joined my Facebook group as well. So yeah, yeah, making those connections. And some of them I've got on Instagram. So
Oh, I
yeah, I'm
love
all over
it.
the place.
Great. Well, I am so excited for everything that you're doing and for how you're showing up so powerfully in the world.
Thank you. I'm excited for what you've been doing too. I've
Thank
been
you.
really loving following your social media. Keep doing
Thank
it.
you. I
You've
will.
got
Thank you.
this.
Thank you. My goal is to get my, just really get the scheduler piece figured out and get some time back in my schedule and just keep creating new graphics and keep creating new content and just see what's next.
Yeah, you'll get there. I mean,
Yes,
heck, you're
ma'am.
busier than you've ever been.
I
So
know, I'm
that's a win.
excited.
Yeah.
Well, listen, when you go to Florida, safe travels to you.
Thank you very much.
I'll be
Yep.
thinking of you.
Couple weeks. So yeah, and we'll talk again next month.
All right. Sounds great. All right.
All
Take
right.
care. Bye bye.
Bye.